Well, it looks like Kank wasn't the only one giving blowjobs to Bubba. We also have the biographer of Prince Andrew telling us that Melania Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were playing hide the weenie too.
So here we are with him in Mar-a-Lago, as you see with Epstein. Sorry, can you see okay? Epstein, a woman called Gwendolyn Beck, who Andrew took to the island, and Melania. I had various references in my book to Melania Trump. Epstein had actually been her lover before Trump, but Trump didn't like that in the book, so he ordered it to be taken out of the book after about 60,000 copies had been printed. So it seemed to be a pretty pointless gesture, but anyway, our publishers did it, but I keep spreading the word.
Okay. Here's the deal. I bought that book thinking that it talked about Epstein and Melania Trump, but I bought the book that had already been redacted. I wasn't one of the first 60,000 copies. Are you even remotely surprised that Melania is in this as much as her beloved husband?
No, I'm not even remotely surprised. Nor do I think this is like a massive story. I think what bothers me more about the whole Epstein thing that people are not focusing on are Jeffrey Epstein's collusion and information exchange with Vladimir Putin and the government of Israel. And of course, the United States government, the United States media, rather, rarely covers this information exchange and potential compromise on that Jeffrey Epstein was getting with American men, American businessmen, and exchanging this information to Israel. And it's my understanding that Jeffrey Epstein took this information directly to Vladimir Putin. So if you think about the way Putin humiliated Melania right after the 2.0, they had her on Russian propaganda news and some of her modeling photos and kind of talking about her like she was a piece of meat in Russian media. So this tells me that Putin knows this. Putin knows that Trump got Jeffrey Epstein's sloppy seconds. So the larger international implications of all of this for all of the national security Republicans and all the national security pundits at Fox are what's far more insidious to me.
Well, when I look at this, I just think what we're seeing is a classic corrupt cover-up by the most corrupt administration. And I'm with you. If Trump is giving Bubba a blowjob and Vladimir Putin has the video, that explains everything we need to know about how he has acted. Then you have what he's doing for Israel. Israel first, not America first. What does Netanyahu have? We know Epstein has these ties. Howard Lutnick told us that he recorded everything and bribed everyone. We know Trump was at his house all the time. Like, I'm with you. The national security ramifications are not to protect the pedophiles and the Epstein files. It needs to be, why is national security at an all-time low? Because these leaders of other countries have shit on our president and everybody acts like it's normal. I mean, I just don't understand it.
And why is the American media refusing to really cover this aspect of it? That's corporate media. Of course, independent media, we're all talking about it. Pod Save did a really big story on or episode on the Jeffrey Epstein Israel connection to former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, who Virginia Giuffre says raped her in her book. And these are major stories. And Trump has now ordered his DOJ to investigate Democrats involved in it, to throw the base and Fox News something, a shiny object to look at it. But I want to be crystal clear about the moral clarity that we as a country should all have in this. If it's a Democrat, if it's a Republican, if it's a former prime minister, if it is a bank CEO, if it is an industry titan of any way, shape, or form, and they're involved in this horrific pedophilia ring, expose every last one of them. And I'm going to be even harder on the Democrats than I am on the Republicans, because in the MAGA regime, I expect them to exploit children. Their policies exploit children. They weaponize children as a means to get people to vote for them and act like they care about children with all of their pro-life legislation, which is actually just anti-woman legislation. So I expect this from MAGA. I expect this from the evangelical base because they are so dismissive of humans once they are born. But if any Democrats are involved in this, that type of hypocrisy, I'm going to call out even more than I am these Republicans.
I completely agree. And, you know, another thing is Trump's now saying, well, I've ordered the release of the files, which he could have done all along. But we know for a fact the fix is in. He is not releasing unredacted, here's the whole file. He is sitting on it. He is going to have it completely sanitized. And here's Pam Bondi confirming all of this.
The DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come information.
Look at Captain Tell.
There's information new information, additional information. And again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads.
Pause that.
Yeah.
Pause that. Is the information, Pam Bondi, that your boss was giving a blowjob to somebody named Bubba, which we have 3 candidates for, obviously Vladimir Putin, Ghislaine Maxwell's horse Bubba, and then some billionaire oil guy from Odessa, his son, who's a big swinging dick around Mar-a-Lago, who's hangs out with Trump all the time, who goes by Bubba. So there's 3 candidates. And is the new information, Pam Bondi, that this is why when everybody was in Alaska and everybody went to a closed door meeting with Vladimir Putin, did he whip out the president of the United States on his hands and knees blowing Bubba? We all know he knows how to do it because we saw him on the campaign trail with jarring familiarity with a microphone on how to perform a blowjob. And of course, this has just been completely pushed to the bottom of the news cycle. So what is that new information, Pam Bondi? Because it seems like the more and more we dig into this, the more and more your boss is at the epicenter of it. And now he's in the epicenter of it doing gay stuff, which is really rich considering your party is so terrified of drag queens. Meanwhile, you've got the biggest fucking queen on the planet rolling around the Oval Office with his Marie Antoinette bullshit and listening to the Phantom of the Opera full tilt to distract from the fact that the Epstein estate has released the fact that you do gay stuff with some guy named Bubba. And here's the deal. I don't give a shit, Kanks, if you want to do gay stuff. I'll fight for your right to do gay stuff, sis. But what I don't like is your party browbeating and bullying and demeaning and dehumanizing all of these LGBTQ plus people, not only in our country, but worldwide. It's just unbelievable. But I want to ask you about this, Pumps. You know how old people in your life, like as they start to die, they start telling the truth about things like, oh, I really liked, this kid was my favorite kid. I really didn't like my son.
Hear that.
My daughter was my favorite. And I really wasn't in love with my wife. I had an affair with blah, blah. I think we're just a few news cycles away from Kanks telling us about gay relationships that he's had. I really do. I think he's just so out of it that it's like, they said, that I did that with Bubba. It really wasn't Bubba. It was somebody else. It's just, when you really stop and isolate all the times he talks about men and how he is happiest in homosocial relationships, he's always surrounded by men. The whole MAGA movement is the whole broadcasting, podcasting thing. It's all men on men on men on men. It's all this homosocial stuff. Yeah. I just think we've got a major, major old dementia-ridden queen in the office. And this tea that Vladimir Putin has the goods on that makes perfect sense.
You know what else makes perfect sense now? He called the Post impersonating somebody else, saying he was the best lay in New York City. because he obviously knows he's a terrible lay with women. Maybe he's great at blowjobs. Maybe Bubba said he is a 10 out of 10, sucked the chrome off a car. But I find it interesting when you look back at his history of always trying to tell you what a great lover he is. And we know for a fact he's not, because Stormy Daniels told us. I think that's interesting too. One thing I really want to emphasize in this whole Pam Bondi thing, she's reopening the investigation because it allows her to keep material. That is why she's doing it. It's not new information. It is covering up old information. And then what I found interesting is you're even losing Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, he's laughing at Trump and this administration.
The Epstein files.
I heard there's no files. I heard it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden, he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man.
He wants an investigation now.
Listen.
Like, what is going on?
They voted 427 to 1.
Who was the one?
Whoa, who's the one?
I didn't see why he said, but he did.
National security.
Let me pull it
No
up.
fucking way you going to be the one. No,
security.
if you
I mean, when Joe Rogan is mocking your bullshit national security and saying, I thought it was a hoax, it wasn't. These MAGA alpha men / beta men, they listen to this. I mean, it's getting through to his base on this.
I agree. And I just think it's really important that the corporate media frame this as following. We had the majority of the people that work at the DOJ prior to getting these appointments were podcasters, and their full-time subject was elites getting away with pedophilia, and that all of these Jeffrey Epstein files needed to be released. And there's some bipartisanship in that. I agree with these crazy conspiracy theorists on the right. A lot of their conspiracies I don't agree with, but I believe in justice. I believe in sanitizing and shining light on all of these egregious abuses that happened at the hands of elites that thought that they were the exception, that thought that they were entitled to do it. So then they all get in these positions of power and they trot out to all of these influencers, swing by the White House and we're going to give you your books.
Right.
And they all come out and they're posting their Epstein notebooks. And it's like transparency, Donald Trump. Well, as we keep clicking along with this thing, Kash Patel's folded like a cheap suit. Pam Bondi's dumber than a box of hot rocks. Dan Bongino goes on Fox News and drones on and on about how difficult it is to work 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And he's just in a room at a desk. And, you know, it's just like, come on, dude. And then you have Kanks, Lil Smokey, the failed drag queen, vice president of the United States. And I always go back to when they rolled out for Putin in Alaska.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, like you and I were both watching it a lot, the news a lot that day. And they go behind closed doors with him. And the journalist on the beat, on the ground, said that the people that were in that meeting came out and looked terrified and ashen. And you remember they were supposed to have a big lunch.
Yeah.
And Putin basically said, here's what I fucking got on you. And then he tucked and rolled out of it. You may remember even before that, Trump's clapping like a seal.
Yes. He's so excited.
Humiliating our military. And so it's just the framing of this, whether it's Joe Rogan, us, corporate media, let's just follow along that this is a MAGA desire. They wanted all of this released. And if Joe Biden had information on this and he didn't release it, I think that needs to be answered for as well. Both parties, anybody who covered this up, anybody who is taking part in covering up child sex pedophilia of elite wealthy men preying on poor girls, whether it's a Democrat, whether it's a Republican, whether it's Biden's DOJ, Trump's DOJ, let's get it all out there. And Trump has tried to control the narrative, but he's so incompetent. They thought we're going to give notebooks to people as though there isn't this, vast population that has the internet and critical thinking skills. So it's just Joe Rogan from time to time, he'll talk about immigration. And then he's like, well, I don't really like what he's doing. So the fissures are turning into cracks within the MAGA media ecosystem. And Donald Trump is a lame duck that gave somebody named Bubba a blowjob. And I want to approach that blowjob with the same intensity that Newt Gingrich and Ken Starr did Bill Clinton, who also went by Bubba. I want to approach it with that intensity, and even actually more intensity, because it involves our adversary having the kompromat, which is the Russian word for the compromising information, on a sitting president of the United States who seems to be very homoerotic around dictators. Every time he's around one, it's the happiest I've ever seen him.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I was just thinking, like, can you imagine being in a room and you are all in Trump sycophant, and Putin comes in, shows the video of Trump giving Bubba a blowjob? I mean, that would be shattering. No wonder they couldn't keep their shit together. Okay, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. We're going to stay on top of this. And the greatest, it was on Live Social that this is the very best stocking stuffer of Christmas, and that we are single-handedly saving Christmas with this book. So buy our book. It's linked below in the show notes, and it's available on audiobook.